Hey, welcome back to the Roving Sounds Radio Show, the podcast dedicated to researching, recording, and sharing traditional music from all around the world. My name is Ashley Deneve. Today's episode is all about Gnawa music from Morocco, which is a spiritual music that combines influences from West Africa, North Africa, and the Middle East. The music was originally performed to help listeners enter into a trance and communicate with supernatural spirits, and recently it's started to develop a following outside of Morocco, in the West as well. Today we're going to talk about what's happening in the music, as well as explaining a little bit about the ritual that it comes from. We're also going to investigate the links between Gnawa music and African American music, and talk to Simo Lagnawi, a fantastic Moroccan musician and Gnawa master. Simo is going to help in this episode with explanations and demonstrations, and he's going to feature on all the tracks you'll hear today. Simo has a way of talking about music and his life that's to the point and insightful, and it's often really funny. For example, here's Simo's incredible description of Gnawa music.
This music is really simple instrument, but is big sound, and metal of crackers they making the brain go away.
So what is it about Gnawa music that makes your brain go away? Well, we're about to find out. Before we do, just a quick reminder that there's heaps of extra material about Gnawa music on our website, www.rovingsounds.org. In the companion blog post for this episode, we've got 2 exclusive videos from Simo, as well as pictures of the instruments and plenty of extra information, so don't forget to check that out. If you want to get even more cool stuff, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and this week I'm sending out a few recordings of Simo and his group, Gnawa London, that only subscribers will receive. So let's get a bit of a taste for Gnawa music, with our first track from Simo and Gnawa London. Gnawa music comes from Morocco, in the northwest corner of Africa, which over the last 1500 years has been a real melting pot of different cultures. The traditional inhabitants of Morocco, Algeria, and most of northern Africa are the Berber people, and the Berbers have been heavily influenced by the Arabic world. This is because North Africa was conquered in 750 AD by the Muslim Empire from modern-day Saudi Arabia, and the conquerors brought with them Islam, the Arabic language, and also the practice of slavery. Slavery is important when talking about Gnawa music because it's the music of slaves and their descendants that grew in slaving cities in Morocco like Essaouira and Marrakesh. Slaves were taken from all over West Africa and were forced to work and fight for their Muslim captors. Over time, the slaves adopted Islam and began to develop their own communities in Morocco. Gnawa is the word the Berbers used to use to talk about slaves and their families, and this name stuck because the descendants of slaves in Morocco are still called Gnawa or Gnawi. Slavery in Morocco brought together many different ethnicities under one name, Gnawa, and these slaves found a sense of community in their shared West African heritage and in their enslavement. They played music in their communities as a way to connect with their heritage and culture. It kind of sounds like a familiar story, right? We're going to get back to that later. Over time, this music mixed with Islam and other Arabic influences to make Gnawa music. Because of the way it grew, we can say that Gnawa music is the combination of West African music, North African culture, and Middle Eastern Islam. As the Gnawa embraced Islam, they held on to a lot of their spiritual beliefs from different West African religions. The Gnawa believe in supernatural beings and ancestral spirits that guide and heal people through the physical world. The only way to communicate with these higher beings and receive this guidance is through a ritual called Lila. Lila ceremonies are apparently a full-on sensory experience, and I really don't think that my description will do it justice, but here's the general idea. When a person needs to be healed or seeks guidance in their life, they invite the Gnawa musicians into their home for the ceremony, and they're led by a master called a Malam. The Malam leads the ceremony, which involves music, incense and colours that are associated with specific spirits. The ceremony climaxes with the music driving the participant into a trance, where they are possessed by a spirit and begin to move the music uncontrollably. When the spirit has completely possessed the participant, it leaves their body and they collapse. They'll come to shortly after with no memory of the ceremony, but feel healed and supported. This is how the music is traditionally performed in these Lila ceremonies. And I think it's really cool because the trance aspect is such a major part of it. Nowadays, Gnawa music is associated with trance in a more modern sense, and it's seen as a form of dance music, similar to electronic dance music. I found some videos online from this organisation called Boiler Room, who put on private performances of dance music. 99% of their videos are by DJs in dark clubs, but they have a few videos uploaded of Gnawa music, recorded in Morocco. And I think that really says something about the appeal and the growing popularity of this music. It's now common to see Gnawa music performed outside of these Lila ceremonies, on stages and in the street. And there's even a massive annual festival in Essaouira that features traditional acts and collaborations with Western acts. Whilst the music was originally played by the descendants of slaves, it's not so racially exclusive anymore. And it's common to see people from other cultures, like Berbers, playing it. Simo, our Gnawa expert for this episode, is himself a Berber, and he explains it really well.
Many different people, they play Gnawa music. It doesn't matter his dad is Gnawa or not. The list is really good, and he knows what he's doing.
There are three instruments that make up Gnawa music. First is the krakebs, which are these super loud hand cymbals. The krakebs are like giant iron castanets that clack away, giving the pulse of the piece. Usually you'll have at least 3 people playing these at the same time, and that can get really loud. Krakebs have only 2 basic patterns, which are quite simple, but they make up the majority of traditional Gnawa music. See if you can hear the difference in the krakeb parts between these 2 examples. Then there's the gimbri, which is a 3-string bass instrument, and it kinda looks like a bass guitar. The body of the gimbri is a drum, and part of the technique of playing it is to slap the drum whilst plucking a string. The gimbri gives Gnawa music a riff and improvises around it. While the krakebs really lay down the beat, the gimbri parts often don't play on downbeats at all, which gives the music lots of momentum. See if you can hear what I mean. I'll clap along with the pulse to make it clearer. Can you hear how the gimbri pushes the music forward whilst the krakeb really holds the pulse? The other main instrument is obviously the voice, and the Malam will sing a vocal line which the other musicians, who are usually playing krakeb, will repeat. This call and response style is really common in West African music as well. So there's an overview of what's happening in the music, but for the best description, Simo really nails it.
This music is really simple instrument, but is big sound and metal of crackers they making the brain go away.
I really just love playing that clip. I'm going to try and sneak it in a bit more later. So let's hear all those things in action and see if we can make our brains go away for a little bit. Here's a track performed by Simo Lagnawi and Gnawa London, and it was recorded in a bar in East London. And one last thing, because Gnawa music is all about inducing trance and
making the brain go away.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Because it's about all that stuff, each piece can really last a long time. In the performances that I've seen, 10 to 15 minutes seems pretty standard, but apparently at times they can last several hours. So with that in mind, this next track is going to last about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I'll see you on the other side. Yeah, just kidding. One of the things that interests me a lot about Gnawa music is that, like African American music, Gnawa music developed out of the slave trade. In the development of both styles, the slaves that were brought to new lands found a way to express their identity and move past their horrible circumstances through their music. As generations went by and the descendants of slaves adapted to life in their new surroundings, their culture meshed with that of the slavers and gave birth to new sounds. Now, despite many thousands of kilometres of separation between them, the music of West Africa, the Gnawa, and African Americans share quite a few similarities. The most obvious of these is the call and response singing, which, as we've heard, is big in Gnawa music and in West African music, and of course it's really prominent in African American spirituals and work songs. See if you can hear the similarities between these two examples. The first is from Ghana, and it's recorded by traditional group Salaka. The second is from Alabama in 1939, and it's a performance by African American prisoners. Another less obvious example is heard in one of the crackhead patterns, which is linked to West African bell patterns and the ride cymbal in jazz. Listen for the similarities in these three excerpts. The first is from West Africa, the second is from Gnawa music, and the third is jazz. Listen for the bell, the crackheads, and the cymbal respectively. Can you hear how in each of these examples, the bell, crackabs, and cymbal all play the same rhythm? This is the rhythm. Though they play them at different speeds, and the jazz example is swung, like this, it's still the same rhythm. Let's have another listen, and I'll clap along this time to make it really clear. As Simo puts it,
Gnawa music is really old than blues, old than reggae, old than the really old music.
the reason why there are so many links between Gnawa music, West African music, and African American music comes back to the slave trade. Slavery spread West Africans and their music all around the world. Over time, it changed in different ways, but it still retained its link to the past, its connection with Africa. Gnawa music and African American music share similarities because the people who created it are all descendant from West Africans. Today, all the music I've been sharing is from Simo Gnawi. Simo paints a really interesting picture of what it's like to grow up around Gnawa music and to learn to play it.
We're born, we have rhythm. Now you go to Morocco, you're gonna have lots of people. They are not musicians, but they can take a rhythm, they can play, and this is how we learn. And after, like, you choose what you want, and you choose what music you like.
This idea that we're born and we have rhythm is definitely not the way I grew up thinking about music.
Gnawa choose me.
Okay.
The Gnawa choose me is not just choose me when I came to this country, or they choose me from when I'm on my mom's tummy, when you keep on dreaming with some lots of people playing crack-ups and stuff. This is how, I didn't know one day I'm gonna, just my story is gonna connect with Gnawa music, and why she chose me, because this is it. Because when my mom, she's pregnant of 3 months old, and her tummy, she's dreaming people play crackers and stuff and things. Now I'm nearly 42. I'm a Gnawi man.
It seems like Simo really thinks about Gnawa music as being a part of who he is, being in his blood and his history, not just something he learnt along the way.
How I learn?
Yeah.
I learn around Morocco. I go to lots of places in Morocco. But I have a masters, they're my friend. They're not my teachers. But no one is teaching me like that to learn, do that. No. It's just something really you can learn with your years and you with other masters when you play with them.
What Simo is saying is that he didn't have a formal teacher per se, but he travelled a lot around Morocco and was always trying to learn from the musicians and masters around him. To me, as someone who learned how to play music at a university, these ideas about what it means to learn and play music are so different from the ones that I had growing up, and I find it really interesting and eye-opening to hear about them. Simo has a bunch of different Gnawa influence groups. We've been hearing a lot today from his group Gnawa London, which is him and his students, and they play exclusively traditional pieces. He has another band called Electric Djilaba, who play kind of psychedelic Gnawa music, and also Gnawa Blues All-Stars, which is a project where Simo collaborates with other African artists. We're going to hear a track now from Simo's latest album, The Gnawa Caravan, called Mimu Natu. This is a traditional piece, and Mimu Natu is the name of the only female spirit of the forest. You can find out more about Simo and his music at www.simolaganawi, that's simolagnawi.co.uk, or by googling Gnawa London. There's also 2 awesome videos of Simo on the blog post, which are a great chance to see how the gimbri works and watch Simo do his thing, so don't forget to check those out. So that's it for this time. Here's a recap of what we covered today. We talked about how Gnawa music is a product of West Africa, North Africa, and the Middle East. We looked briefly at the Lila ritual, which Gnawa music is a part of. We talked about how the gimbri, crackebs, and voice all work together, and we investigated the links between Gnawa music, West African music, and African American music. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and are inspired to check out some more Gnawa music. And you can do just that on our website at www.rovingsounds.org. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend and leave us a review on iTunes. Until next time, bye-bye.